Let us introduce the idea of antivision because it would allow us to continue this conversation with a slightly different angle. This idea of an antivision, I first came across it not even that long ago in a book called The Art of Focus by Dan Koe. So I'm just going to read a little bit from that book just as a way to enter into this conversation or this part of the conversation. Dan Koe writes this: "It's easier to know what you don't want from experience than it is to know what you want from imagination. But realize that imagination holds a lot of power. You need experience to fuel imagination. And when the two are combined, you create a frame that is impossible to distract your focus. Create an anti-vision for your future. Write out every single thing you don't want, why you don't want it, and how you are going to avoid it. What does an unfulfilling day look like to you? What kind of person would you avoid as a significant other? How do you not want to look, feel, and act? How much money is too little to sustain your lifestyle? Why is it too little? What won't you be able to do with that money? What environment would you hate living in?" So again, just as an entry point to this idea of the anti-vision here, I love what he broke down there, which is like these 4 categories that we can begin to construct our anti-vision around, which is our daily life, our work life, our relationships, and our financial life. So let's just maybe start there.
Yeah. So just to start, I think it's really cool to say, like, what he laid out there is when you combine this experience with imagination. I love those words of, I'm going to probably butcher it, but it's impossible to distract yourself from that vision. It's very much what we do with the business and what I try to do when I track this on a daily basis. Like, am I doing the things that are aligned with getting me closer to my vision? You are on a path. There is no standing still. If you are standing still, you are taking a step backwards because the world is continually moving forward. So standing still is backwards. If you are not actively taking steps forward closer to your vision, you're not in alignment. And that's a really yucky feeling. So I want to just like, that is so cool, is like from my experiences I've had in the past, which have massively shaped my vision going forward. I don't want that job I had before. I don't want to wash dishes. I've done that. I don't want to work in a restaurant. I've done that. I don't want to work in a cubicle. I've done that. I don't want lack of purpose or meaning with my work. I've done that. I don't want to be surrounded with these types of people. I've been there. It feels crappy. So it is so much easier to say what you don't want than maybe what you do want from imagination, but it is the combination of the two that are the real power. But yes, you broke those down into 4 categories: daily life, work life, environment, and relationships. Was that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Daily life, work life, relationships, financial life. I don't know if you just said that, but in a different order.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't either.
We'll say we got it.
Yeah.
So let's start with daily life.
Okay. So what do I not want? And again, from experience, I know this. I don't want to wake up. I'm going to say the word because I think it's going to paint a better picture for this. I don't want to wake up hungover. Now, hungover doesn't necessarily mean I've drank too much. Hungover could be from a lot of things, right? Hungover could be from lack of sleep. Hungover could be just from like staying up too late or whatever it is, or too much stress, or eating really crappy, or lack of excitement in my life. Basically, like, I don't want to wake up and go, I want to stay under the covers. Like, that's the first thing, is I really don't want that. When I start my day, I don't want to be reactive, meaning I don't want to start my day responding to the urgency around me that I have no control over, from emails and text messages to interruptions, to shout out to Cal Newport, who was just on the show, but no deep work, right? All this is like a shallow busyness with no actual meaning or productivity.
Yep.
I don't want to have my day filled with kind of solitude or lots of people around, but no real connection, like surface level conversations, right? Just full of small talk. So I want the space to be by myself, to think deeply, but I also want to be able to connect deeply with others, with shared passions, shared values. I want to move. So that's a vision. I should say this the other way. I don't want to be sedentary, right? I don't want physical stillness. I want to feel alive. If I am still or sedentary, I feel my body rotting. It's one of those things that I've internalized, and, it's when it values, right? This is what values, key pillars, as you said. Health is for me. What I have told myself is, if you're not moving, if you're not training, if you're not active, if you're not doing that thing, you're rotting away. What does that do? It builds my identity, which it builds my behaviors, which takes actions. Then it becomes that self-fulfilling loop. You want to actually tell yourself these stories of how you build the important things in your lives. That's how they come. You operationalize the key pillars. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be lazy, meaning nothing really excites me. I'm not interested in things. I'm more passive. There's no levels of curiosity. And instead, I kind of sit on the sidelines and judge, right? Mm-hmm. That to me is like a terrible existence. I want to be in the arena, doing, building, creating. People point fingers, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But I don't want to be lazy. Is really, I don't do well with lazy. And maybe it's because I have some laziness built into me. Mm-hmm. So when I succumb to it, I'm like, don't you do that. Yep. I feel like one of the biggest things I'm fighting against is the drift, which is I'm just on the river going down at the speed of the river, not controlling where I'm going. Yep. And this is one of the big reasons is this, we talked about this, but this fear I have of like, if I take a couple days off from the gym, I'm like, I'm going to end up like the end of dodgeball, like Ben Stiller, like and that's the story I tell it. So I'm stay active. Like I don't want to drift at all.
I like that because you just combine the two things there, which is just being on a lazy river. You've talked about lazy, you talked about river, right? Where you're just imagining yourself on a lazy river. But it's also really important to point out, at least I'm assuming a little bit, but we've talked about this before, like you've had in the past times when you weren't active and you remember what that was like. You remember what it was like to be on the lazy river and not on the active path. And so that's where this anti-vision is really strong, because it's not what we said at the top. It's not the imagination. I'm not imagining a life in which I'm not active. I'm remembering a life where I wasn't active and how that felt and the results of those things. And so I'm bringing those memories up, and instead of beating myself up for them, instead of being shamed by them and probably therefore pushing them away and not thinking about them, I'm using them as firepower to push me forward and not drag me backwards.